Hyper-V, which we're doing tomorrow morning, we're going to talk to you in much more detail, and Hyper-V virtual networking. But I have this ability to do massive scale Hyper-V deployments where I can let multiple customers come in, or multiple business units, or multiple customers. So if you're a hoster or a service provider, you've got this kind of pain. How do you bring your customer in, and how do you give them all? You end up running out of IP to allocate to people with more. We have run out of IPv4 addresses already. We keep running out. We've run out now. So how do you solve the problem? So we've solved the problem with a few bits. So massive security isolation. So you've never been able to break out of a VM on Hyper-V into another one or the host. Other platforms you can and have, and there's well-published ones. You can't with us. We've been doing security ridiculously seriously for a good long while. Okay, quality of service is turned on, or you can turn quality of service on to allocate stuff. You can throttle people down to so much usage. Everything's measurable and meterable, so you can start charging back for all this stuff if you want to. Scaling beyond VLANs. Who knows the limitation of VLANs? 4,096 VLANs. You can't go any more than that, which is fine for most of us, right? But if you're in the service provider space, you run out of 4,096 VLANs pretty quickly. And and to add a new VLAN, you have to go reconfigure every single switch in your network, which is painful and prone to problems. Okay, we've solved that with a thing called virtual networking, which John will talk to tomorrow afternoon. Okay. Massive scale, talk to scale in a second, virtual fiber channel. We offload everything we can. If we can offload something to physical hardware, we will. I'll leave it at that, which lets me do much denser, more virtual machines per physical box, okay? Lets me do it. And the fact I can throttle and do all sorts of things. There's a feature down there called Hyper-V Replica, which I'll quickly show you, cross-premise connectivity. There's loads of stuff. I would suggest, this is me saying it, so take the Microsoft hat off for a minute. I would suggest about 50% of the features in Server 2012 are kind of related to virtualization. And then the other 50% are all the other bits and bobs, okay? Just something on scale, okay? So I'm comparing 2008 R2 with 12, okay? So the number of, and this is a Hyper-V host. And I'll deliberately call it out, okay? So Windows Server currently supports 512 logical processors, but the Hyper-V team have only tested Hyper-V up to 320, because that's the biggest box they could find. These numbers are always backed up while we've tested it. Okay, so the Hyper-V team have only tested Hyper-V up to 320 logical processors. Anyone got a box with more than 320? Probably not. If you have, tell us, we'll up that number. I'm sure we're constantly working on that number, okay? But 64 logical processors, a thread of execution, okay? Physical memory, we support up to 4 terabytes in the host. Okay, anyone got a box with 4 terabytes of memory? No. We obviously found one because we've tested it, okay? 4 terabytes of memory. Virtual processors in the host, 1,024, okay? So as in being able to allocate VMs, 1,024 virtual processors on all these 1,024 virtual machines that I can have running. I can have one each, okay, if I want to, which lets me overdo this. Some, whatever that term, I've gone blank with the term. In the virtual machines themselves, we used to do four processors in a guest. Now we're 64. So 64 virtual processors in a guest with a terabyte of memory. Okay, I can have 1,024 of them. 64 terabytes per disk. I can have 4 SCSI controllers, virtual SCSI controllers in a VM, each of which can take 64 disks. 64 times 4 is 256 times 64 terabytes is 16 petabytes. 16 petabytes, okay? Plus you can have a couple of virtual hard disks on these virtual IDE controllers. So just over 16 petabytes of disk. Has anyone got a workload that needs 64 processors, terabyte of memory, and 16 petabytes of disk? No is the answer. We haven't found one yet anyway. And that lets me say, and we can run anything. Okay, there's nothing we can't run. Until someone says, "What about?" and I'll go, "Oh, fair enough." Apart from that, there's nothing we can't run. Okay, we run very, very close to the performance of the tin. There's not much in it. Okay, and because modern servers now are so performant, and it'd be very hard to max out a modern server. If you really needed the last % or two that the virtualizing takes away from you, then off you go, eat your heart out. Build a box with processors and memory and physical disk. And then you start worrying about backing it up and moving it around if things go wrong and doing DR. You worry about that. The benefits of virtualization are it's just a couple of files, copy them around. The benefits completely outweigh the, I need the 2% or the 1% of I/O or whatever. There's nothing, we'll talk I/O in a while, but there's nothing. Seriously, you can virtualize everything, okay? As far as clustering is concerned, we've gone from 16 node clusters to 64 node clusters, and we've gone from 1,000 VMs on the cluster to 4,000 VMs on the cluster.
That's 8,000.
That's 8,000 nodes on VMs on a cluster. Thank you, Aidan. I'll change my slides. Okay, 8, that's an 8. Everyone read that 8 there, okay? So the numbers have gone up. And the numbers will probably continue to go up, okay, as we play this game with the competition, okay? I'll just quickly do this one. I'm stealing some thunder from someone else, but who cares? Come on. Hyper-V Replica is probably one of the best features in Windows Server. I did for a while ago, I was doing a what's the top 10 features in Windows Server. Loads of people came back with this in their top 10, okay? It's just because it's nice. And in theory, and I'm going to put that down, it's free, okay? And I've delivered that in quotes free. If you've licensed everything correctly, it's free, okay? For Windows. Because you've licensed your Windows boxes correctly. You've got your data center everywhere, the way it works. So it's an asynchronous copy of a VM, of a running VM. So my primary site of all my virtual machines, and I pick the ones that I want to give DR to, proper DR, business continuity DR, floods, fires, shit happens. I need to be up and running quickly. Okay, I pick them and I start replicating them across to another site. Now, another site can be another branch office, it could be a head office, it could be a service provider, because we can do this using either Kerberos credentials or certificates. So this could be pick a service provider, okay, or it could just be another location on your network. How do I get that initial copy across the network? I can just copy it across to the location. I can copy it across the network. But if you've got multiple gigabytes or terabytes of VMs, copying that across a network is potentially going to kill your network. I can schedule it. I can do it at night or do it at a weekend maybe. Still going to kill your network. So I have other options too. One is I can have a valid backup of a VM that I can restore up to here and use that as the kind of starting point. So there's my backup restored, and now I'll just get the differences over. Or as part of the wizard, which is I'm going to create a replica of this guy over there. It will say I'm going to copy it to some external media. Okay, so I'll get my USB drive, which I BitLocker because I don't want to lose it on the bus or the car or the train. Copy my VM onto it, bring it over, continue the wizard. It sucks it all back in, and I just sync up again. Okay, so it's an asynchronous copy of a running virtual machine that you can choose to turn on again in the event of a catastrophic failure. You can also choose to turn it on to do test failovers. You can also choose to turn it on to just see if it works, or give it to the developers because they want to test something, or give it to you guys to prove that a failover works, or give it to someone because they want to test an upgrade of something. There's a production copy, and I'm just going to see what happens if I apply that service pack. Well, okay, it's fine, work fine, turn it off. So I'll just do a quick little demo of this, and this doesn't steal anyone's thunder because it's such a noddy little demo. 20 minutes. So here's one already configured. Here's one I created earlier, Blue Peter Styley. Server 3 has a replica on server. It's currently running on host 1, it's going to run on host 2, and it's been copying itself merrily for a while, and off it goes, okay? And on server 2, there it is. And I use snapshots for multiple instances in time. So the server might have crapped out because I need to go back in time. I don't want to go back to 2 minutes ago, I want to go back. I have the ability to, at the remote site, inject failover IPs if I want to. So I can give it, if you're in Hyper-V Manager, there's always little ticks now. I can give it a failover, a TCP/IP configuration, different site, different network I want to come up, or I'm using virtual networking and it keeps the same one. I can also say, and when I'm doing a test failover, don't bring it up on a network, bring it up on a test network, do whatever I like. So we've put a lot of thought into what you can and can't do, okay? So let's just show you what it looks like, okay? So I go to there, and this is my catastrophic failure, okay? This is my flood or my fire, bang, okay? So I'm no longer in production, shit's hitting the fan, I need to get back online again. I go over to my replication site and I fail over. I pick where I want to go back to as an instance in time. So let's say it went wrong in the last 10 minutes, I'll go back 5 minutes ago and fail over, and it comes up. That's it. As long as you've done your networking properly and you've configured it all so the users can still connect, that's it. And it's in quotes free, as long as you license yourself correctly. And DR. It's a real nice DR solution. And if you know the competition, you know what we've just saved you a fortune on. Okay, nice.